Hi, welcome to the market alert for the 22nd of April 2015. And what I've done this morning is just to compress all of the data in the chart, because I wanted to show you the pre-market activity from yesterday. As I said in Monday's and Tuesday's market alert, there is no major economic news this week, so the market is sort of left to the market makers to decide on direction. And here you see a 100-point swing to the upside, taking out the 18,170, I think it was, wasn't it? 117 resistance that we had in the daily chart, which I said was likely to be done before the market opened at 2:30. So we see this happening in the pre-market, 100 points up, and then the market comes back to where it was trading, and eventually we end up more or less where the session finished, or the early morning session finished on Monday morning there. So on Tuesday the market opened, and then this is really where the activity starts. I'm just going to widen this out again. Let me just reset this. There we go, just drag the chart over. So we see the market opening and then trading down to the 18,000 level, which, as I say, brings you down to more or less where the activity was pre-market session. And then we had a sell signal. Now you've got to keep in mind that we've already had a 100-point move to the downside here. We can see this by the psychological lines, and then we've got a situation where we've got a potential sell, and then the market moves down. So that's only a 150-point move. There is no economic news, so you've got to be careful once you've had the initial move, which I've also spoken about in the previous market alerts. You get a lot of activity at the beginning and then nothing thereafter. Now if anybody's asking why there's no signal here, it's because of the amount of volatility we had in the opening part of the session. We've got a low of 92 and a high of 120 there. So we can see we've got a range of 28 points there, when the setting for the PTI, which is what this would trigger as a signal, is a maximum of 25. So it's 3 points more, which is why we haven't got it, which is a shame really, because that was a really good move to the downside there. But it's just the amount of volatility that we had in that first price bar there. So we've already had the 100-point move, and then we've got the sell signal there, which goes on to make the 20-point scalp. It comes back but finds resistance at the 18,000 psychological level before going all the way down through the quiet part of the session to the 17,950. Now this is where it gets interesting. Look how quiet the market's been throughout the afternoon. It's been really quiet. There is no economic news to move this market, and then we're presented with another sell. Now if you look at the background of the market, we've got 200-point drop in the background. There's no economic news, and therefore to expect the market to actually continue lower without anything to drive the market, then it's highly unlikely. And the reason for that is that the moves have to, or the traders have to have a reason why they've moved the market. They're accountable to the SEC, which is the Securities Exchange Commission in the US, and they have to give a reason why the market has moved if you get an abnormal move. So here, no surprise really that the market moved lower and then found support and then started to move back. It is a quiet part of the session. So my advice to you, as in the last two market alerts, if the market is not showing any economic news, as you've got this week, there's nothing major. I don't know what's coming up today, I'll have a look in just a moment. But if you've got nothing coming out, you will always get this same pattern where you get a big move to begin with, and then the market will go into a trading range for the remainder of the session. That's just the nature of the beast. So this is why you're seeing the market struggle in these areas here. So on the first PTI signal, you can see there the market manages to fill it, and again using the minor psychological levels, you can see how the market's come back above this, and that's going to be your first clue that there's a problem, because out of 3 price bars here, they've all closed back above this minor psychological line here. You can see then we're closing back above here. If it's closing back above here, then again, you know you've got a pretty good idea you're going to go into some sort of a sideways move. So there you can see that going into there, and then the market coming back below this minor psychological level as well, before making its way back down once more. And these two signals, of course, are too late in the session. So this is why you are going to get losses, because there is not enough volatility, because there are no economic news items to actually move the market. All of the activity is the initial burst of activity when the market opens there. So do keep that in mind for future reference, that if there are no economic news items out, then you will get a burst of activity to begin with, and then the market will go into this sort of sideways range. If you've had money off the table in the beginning of the session, when there is no economic news, you are unlikely to get anything out of it later on in the session, for that very reason that there's nothing else to move the market. So let's have a look at the daily chart. We can see that 18,117. We saw that the market traded through this in the pre-market session, which I spoke about yesterday morning as well. It looked likely the market was going to have a go at it, and then when the official session opened, you can see how the market was then driven down, and now we're seeing a bit of support on the overnight. So the market's stuck in a sideways range, although the market is making higher lows at the moment. So each successive low and consecutive low is higher than the previous bar, which is indicative of the market moving slightly higher there. It's in that sort of bullish phase, and you can see there's a trend to the upside there at the moment. So you get these down days and then the reversal off the day, unless of course there is something to move the market. So let's have a quick look at today's news. A lot more from Europe. 3 p.m. is the only economic news item today. It's existing home sales, but it's enough after 2 days of no economic news to move a market, and this is forecast at 5.04 million, up from the previous of 4.88 million. So if it comes out, the actual figure comes out as forecast, then you're going to see the market use this and move prices to the upside. Crude oil inventories really won't have too much of an impact unless this figure is sharply different, and then they can have a negative impact, but unlikely. The one the market will be looking for is the existing home sales, just to back up the theory that the US economy is making a recovery there. And on the implied volatility front, 11.52 for Monday. Let's just refresh the chart and see what happened during Tuesday's session. Market showing that the implied has moved back up to 12, up slightly, up 0.48 on Tuesday's trading session. You can see there we're in a bit of a sideways range with the implied volatility. Could do with the blue line below the yellow line at the moment, as this would indicate that the market is really bullish. At the moment there's sort of an indecision thing going on, and we can see that inside of the daily chart as well. Right, that's it for today. Hopefully you can get some bits and pieces of information from there that make that are logical and a common sense approach to actually looking at it. If there's no economic news out for several days, then the market will only have an initial burst, as we've seen in Monday and Tuesday, and then go into a bit of a sideways range. So again, just make a note of this and keep it to one side, and generally we get the sort of 1 week in the month when this happens, and of course that's this week. So again, make a mental note of that, just in case there's no economic news. And if you get profits in the first part of the session, then instead of being greedy, just walk away for the remainder of the day. Even if the market moved 100 points thereafter, it doesn't matter, because whatever's driving it is news that you had no idea was coming anyway. It could be some sort of corporate profit or whatever it is, or some political news as well. Right, that's it from me. I will see you in tomorrow's edition, and as ever, thank you for your support, very much appreciated, and as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.